Imagine standing in a dimly lit meadow in thaw just before dawn. There is a flock of sheep packed in tight beside you, and up the slope a sheepdog is standing alert with its body angled towards the trees. And at the edge of the forest line, half hidden in the fog, is something standing on two legs and looking at the dog. This is the painting Shepherd and His Faithful Dog by Jakub Różalski, and it is one of 3 paintings by the same artist that captures the folk horror of the werewolf in a way nobody has done before. So let's get back to the painting. The composition is built in 3 dead bands, and the painting wants the viewer to read them in order. The foreground is the closest. It consists of 5 sheep painted in close up. 4 are white and 1 is black. Their heads are up and their ears are forward, and they're looking at something specific. The viewer is positioned directly behind them, low and almost on the ground. The middle band is the meadow. A sheepdog stands alone in the grass, perhaps 15 meters ahead of the flock. Its ears are up and its tail is down. Its body is angled slightly to the right. The dog is the only figure in the middle band. The grass between the dog and the sheep is completely empty. The background is the tree line, a wall of conifers with fog rolling out of them across the meadow. The light is dusk or pre-dawn, and a full moon sits high in the sky, and then, standing in the fog at the edge of the trees, perhaps 30 meters beyond the dog, is the werewolf, upright on 2 legs with long arms hanging at its sides. Its fur has almost the same color as the conifers behind it, and the only part of the figure that catches the light is the eyes, 2 direct points looking directly at the sheepdog. Now, let's talk about what is not in the painting. The shepherd mentioned in the title is absent, almost like the werewolf has killed him and moved on to the flock. The dog is the only thing between the sheep and the wolf, and the painting is very honest about the size of the imbalance. The wolf is much larger than the dog by a margin the viewer can measure with their own eyes. There's no torch and no fence and no farmhouse anywhere near the frame. The meadow extends out to the trees with nothing in it, which means there is nothing to stop the wolf walking forward when it decides to. The lack of fencing or obstacles keeping the werewolf out actually plays into the medieval fear of the werewolf. Let me tell you why. The medieval werewolf belief wasn't really a fear of the wilderness. The werewolf was a fear of the village edge. The moment the dog goes quiet and the moonlight catches something in the tree line, and the village realizes it has been visible from the woods all along. The painting encapsulates this fear by putting the viewer at ground level with the prey and in the exact position occupied in the folkloric imagination, haunted in the exact place they thought they could be safe. Good Hunting is another painting by Różalski from his Wolfpack series, depicting a werewolf within a rural landscape that could be any time in the last 400 years. The foreground is a rise of grass on the left, going down to a dirt path that curved through the center of the painting. Standing on the rise is a bobcat, looking back over its shoulder. In its mouth is a kill, a bird or a mouse, and the viewer is positioned just behind and below the cat, looking past it across the path. The middle band is the path itself, and the fence running across the frame. The fence is the painting's main horizontal line, separating the path from the field beyond, and it is broken in places with scrub growing through it. The background, upper right beyond the fence, is the werewolf. In its arm is a kill, and in the upper left, far away, almost lost in the fog, is a herd of cattle standing on the path watching the werewolf. A guard dog stands out in front of the herd. The dog has seen the werewolf, but it is not lunging or preparing to attack. It is just standing there, watching. A guard dog meeting a wolf would already be moving, but the guard dog seems to be frozen in terror or surprised by what it is witnessing. Różalski described it on Tumblr as a short story about the hunter and the prey. The painting treats the werewolf as a creature operating on the same logic as the cat, not as a monster necessarily, but as a successful predator on a foggy morning. Fireworks is another painting by Różalski, but the setting has shifted from daylight to a New Year's Eve at midnight, and the cast is now industrial area gentlemen rather than farmers and cats. The foreground is a snow-covered field, churned and uneven, with the stalks of last year's grass poking through. In the lower left corner, half buried in the snow, lies a used firework. Standing in the lower center of the frame is a man in evening dress and a top hat. He carries a bottle of champagne by the neck in his right hand. The viewer is placed just behind him, looking past his shoulder across the field. The middle band is the field itself, flat, with snow stretching across the entire width of the painting. A second top hat lies on the ground to the left, knocked off and seemingly abandoned. Every prop in the foreground is an object that has already been used or is telling some kind of story about the painting. In the background, near the upper right is the werewolf. It is upright and much larger than the men in proportional terms, with its mouth open and seemingly having blood on its chest. Its eyes is catching the light, and beneath the werewolf lies the second man. He is screaming, and one of his legs seems to have been torn off by the werewolf. In the upper left and upper right, far across the field, is the city, an industrial skyline of factory chimneys and rooftops with a few windows lit. The painting's implied space places the city perhaps a kilometer off, close enough to walk back to, but far enough that nobody at the New Year's Eve party can see what is happening in the field. Różalski posted it as a New Year's message at the end of 2021, and the story he wrote with it goes something like this. Two friends, Edward and Thomas, sneak out of a New Year's party to set off fireworks in a field, despite a farmer next door having specifically asked them not to because the fireworks would frighten his animals. They light the first one anyway, and the explosion knocks Edward off his feet. By the time he picks himself back up with the bottle of champagne still in his hands, he looks across the field and sees Thomas lying in the snow, covered in blood, with a werewolf standing over him. The werewolf then speaks, in for some reason a Scottish accent, and says, "I asked you idiots to not light these damn fireworks tonight." Thomas screams and Edward runs as fast as possible. The next morning, Edward wakes up in his own bed with a hangover and no memory of how he got home. He decides the whole thing was a drunken dream and goes looking for Thomas to laugh about it. Except Thomas is not there. Thomas is never seen again. So, those are the 3 Różalski paintings that depicts the folk horror of the werewolf. What makes Różalski's paintings so captivating is how they capture one specific tense moment and how the werewolf is always the thing your eyes pull towards. The werewolves in these paintings are mystifying. They carry a level of horror I have not seen in any other painting or any other media depicting them. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments whether you'd like me to cover some of his other painting, or if there is a painter you think I should look at next. See you guys in the next one.